You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by footballstadiumprints.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped!
Yes!
And it stopped!
Totally redeems himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot is goal!
Oliver!
Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot.
Goal!
And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
This is your home for USL2 playoff-bound soccer teams from Minnesota. It is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City SC. I am your host, Nate. Joining me, as always, is the Minneapolis City co-founder and the Bunsen to my beaker. It's John Bisworm. John, you've been pinching yourself to see if it's all real this summer? You want to pinch me?
Not really, but thank you for the offer, Nate. It has been a fun summer getting back to winning ways. I mean, it truly has been. And thinking about what could have been, considering how many goals this team has left on the table due to really great goalkeeping against us.
Yeah. Well, when last we spoke, John and I were feeling really good about Minneapolis City's prospects for making the playoffs, but there were some major hurdles in front of us. And tonight we're going to talk about how we cleared two of them. And we're going to look forward to a huge 4-day stretch during which we'll be playing for everything. Are you ready, John?
To discuss, yes. To touch you, no.
Pinch, pinch, pinch.
Well, City's first test in the pursuit of locking up a playoff spot was knocking off third place Rochester FC and making it as hard as possible to overtake us. As far as who went for the Crows on the day, it was goalkeeper Daniel Sessler, a backline of Jared Heck, Curtis Wagner, and Cole Schragi. Schragi, still never got that pronunciation. Center midfield of Swalenshaw and Kirsch. Your wingers, Morgan Olson and Andrew Heckenleibel. And up top, Shea Bechtel and Joe Highfield, with a bench of Roach, Anderson, Holmes, Mena, Harris, Tawa, Banks, and Twill.
John, prior to this game, we speculated about how Rochester's hot start had kind of crumbled as they stumbled with a few disappointing results, allowing City to overtake them into second place and Swainio into first place. Whether it was a roster issue, I don't know, an internal cultural issue, or just the realities of lots of games over a short time during a hot summer, the other Loons, who opened the season with 5 straight wins and the best defense in the division, had lost 3 in a row. But Rochester came out focused and looking dangerous against us. They pressed within the Crows half really well, I thought. Especially in their attacking third, they didn't really allow Swallen or Wagner or Schragi a moment to stand on the ball and distribute at all. It was very surprising.
They were down our throats, Nate, right away. And there wasn't really a moment, like you mentioned, to breathe for the Crows in the early goings on either side of the ball, in my opinion. I thought Rochester came out with a really great game plan to punch first, and I thought that they did. But the whole time I watched wave after wave of Rochester press, then winning the ball, sustained bouts of possession, not getting any shots on target, but just keeping the ball and creating those turnovers with a high press. I wondered, how long could this last with the pedal fully down on the gas?
Yeah. The answer that City settled on, I think, was quick ball movement, right? And that led to our first goal in the 26th minute. Heckenleibel had continued his form throughout the early part of the game. He's making some nice runs up to that point. And his goal came from him dancing on that line, making a really nice diagonal run, and then breaking for a perfectly placed ball from Schragi that the keeper for Rochester, Swancut, misjudged, and Heckenleibel was past him and in on an empty net, 1-0 City. John, this is like the third, maybe the fourth week that we've talked about Andrew Heckenlabel, and each time we've talked about him, it's, you know, he has been a bigger and bigger part of the game. How do you view how he's developed this summer?
I think it was a slow start for Andrew. And I say that like totally forgetting the fact that he was away from home this summer. And that could have been a reason that things got going a little bit slow for him. But the past few weeks, he's been locking down his marks defensively. He started to transition into attack faster and higher up on the field. And it's starting to pay off for him, being able to deliver those balls into strikers, being more connected to the offense. And now we're seeing him create more of his own chances.
Yeah, I think the connectivity is really important. But Rochester, John, kept pressure on City in the rest of that first half, and we really had a hard time getting past our midfield line for the rest of that first half. But in the second half, Minneapolis City started playing into the fact that the Rochester players were kind of standing in their back pocket. They started drawing more fouls to make space, almost like basketball players do. And I thought, like, maybe it was because of the ability of the City players to draw those fouls that we had a little bit more room to breathe in that second half. Was I seeing that right?
I would say yes to a degree, Nate. What I saw was similar. City with more quick passing, but I think it was off the ball movement to find the quick pass and then ultimately moving things faster with purpose that led to what I feel was a tired second half team across from us. And those fouls that we were seeing, I think, were more like counterattack stopping fouls instead of getting beat. Creating those 3-on-2 scenarios because you got beat, or those 2-on-1s, 4-on-2s, whatever they might be. So I thought it was more of what I was mentioning earlier on, where how much longer are they going to be able to press us? And it was finally City realizing that it was okay in the first half for Rochester to have the lion's share of the ball in possession, but in the second half had to find it, had to move it a little bit quicker and be more assertive instead of just kind of waiting for Rochester to maybe make a mistake, trying to create that mistake.
Yeah. I think it paid off. We had some shots, but when you think back to like Minnesota United, MLS Next in the Super Cup, maybe the first game against St. Croix, I'm thinking especially our last game against Riverlight. This Rochester game was another one where the opposing keeper really stifled our offense and kept their team in the game. I remember that Highfield had a nice breakaway. He laid it off to Shaw, and Ian Schall's defender fell, and Swancutt still was able to make a last-ditch effort foot save to keep that lead to 1. Heckenlabel was denied his second by another great save. He had a really beautiful header from the back post across the face of the net, and goalkeeper got just a finger on it to steer it wide. So it felt to me like the balls just weren't going to drop for us and take the game out of reach, didn't it?
It's kind of been like that for us all year, Nate. If you're really looking at it, we were in or have been in every game we've played, but the goalkeepers just continue to pull out save after save on us. And I've watched some other games, doing my own little scouting reports for the broadcast, and some of these goalkeepers aren't doing that in other games. And I'm like, why? But good on them for bringing their A game. That's fine. But I think I started to get the feeling that perhaps some fresh legs to be put on, maybe a higher press of our own might be the move here to inject some urgency and try to put the game away and really just kind of give us some more life as we were starting to generate momentum.
Yeah. In like the 74th minute, John, this is kind of where the game changed. I mean, this is where the game changed for the better and never was able to get back into a place where Rochester could be in it. But a big tackle from Heckenlabel upended Rochester's Javon Ramos. It got all ball, but Ramos was head over heels.
Rolling around.
Rochester kept going with the throw in, right? They kept on the attack, but Ramos kind of stayed on the turf. Took a while to get up, starts jawing with the bench, and I got caught up in watching the rest of the action. But what happened then?
I'll keep it super simple. Ramos, in my opinion, on the day was a complete danger man on the ball for Rochester all night. Like when he had the ball, he was the one in the action, and his his actions in this moment were just plain stupid. And here's why, Nate. There is nothing on this planet that you cannot say from 1 foot further away from your opposing team's bench. And then leaving the field to say it, it puts you into the absolute wrong spot. Like you never go off of the field first, and you never go off the field and think that nothing's going to happen by getting in the face of an entire bench of your opposition. So that, like, I don't know what he was expecting to happen there, but this is the moment where it was like, season's over for Rochester. There's no way I could see this one slipping away from the Crows as they were starting to turn the tide before that, versus a team that had thrown everything at them for 70 minutes and then being down a man. Literally no chance in my eyes.
Yeah, so Ramos gets served a red because he starts arguing with the city bench, steps off the field. By the time I noticed what was going on, it looked like there was a little bit of a fight. People were separating him from like Tawa, right? But it sounds like Joey Tawa it was kind of a wily veteran move to get in the way of probably Ramos's true target, who might have been Preston, might have been another one of our players that was on the bench. And Tawa kind of takes the red as well, kind of takes one for the team. And I was surprised that even though Tawa got that red, we didn't have to drop a player. Honestly, in the moment, I was not aware of that rule. I'm like, oh, okay, well, now we're both down to 10 men. Game will continue. But because it was Joey Tawa, a bench player, it was just Rochester who had to be down to 10 men, and we could just have one less player on the bench, which is like, oh, well.
All right, cool.
Very professional red card, if there is such a thing, from Joey Tawa.
Yeah, I'll get into this scenario that happened, and then provide you some context, Nate. And then one thing that I want to also make note. So in this specific scenario, it's like if a coach gets sent off, you don't have to drop like another coach, because one got sent off, and it's the same thing. So Joey getting sent off, going early to the showers, had no impact because he was just not on the field, and at the time of the interaction with Ramos. So that explains it for you. Mm-hmm. But here's the interesting thing that I wanted to note: not one player from Rochester came to his aid when he was surrounded by an entire bench of the opposition. So does that say something about kind of the fact that maybe some of these players weren't playing for the team? They were kind of playing for themselves, and they were kind of over it.
It just seems it's so stupid. Like you're only down a goal. Your team's on the attack. Like that guy literally threw the game away for his team. Yeah,
and no one came to help him, which I thought was extremely interesting. And we talked about cracks in the foundation. Maybe that had something in it. I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. But anyways, on to the rest of the match. The final nail in the coffin came in the 82nd minute after another Rochester FC player was sent to the locker room, picking up his second yellow on, again, another play for me, Nate, that could have totally been avoided. They actually won the ball in possession, and he just kicked out at a player to stop a counterattack, not knowing that his teammate had actually won the ball, and they were right about to spring what I think could have been a very dangerous counterattack. So now you're up 2. Rochester FC puts everyone they have left in the box to defend a city corner, and it left Jackson Kirsch the ability to find Jake Swollen all alone in the top of the box, about 26 yards out, I think I counted today. Collected his first touch clean, and he didn't have to put full power into it. He just had to hit it solid with all the time in the world, and the ball swerved its way through a crowd of players in the 6-yard box into the far corner. Really, really nice long goal from distance.
Yeah, that was Boj Rath, who's a familiar name. I think he played for Med City for a while too, didn't he?
I have no idea. The name sounds familiar, but
Boj Rath is the one that gets the second red card in the 86th minute, and yeah, that Swollen goal was a banger, dude. It was lovely to see.
And he didn't have to hit it hard, which was like totally a veteran move. Like, how many guys just see that daylight and are like, I'm going to blast this thing? And he just stuck his foot through it.
Up and over.
Yeah, up and over. As far as final thoughts on this one, for me, Nate, it's pretty simple. It was a statement win for the Crows. They had the pressure. They had pressure put on them to win this game. It very much so, for me, had playoff type pressure in this game. And we were equal to the test. We weathered the storm, stayed locked in, did the job. And for Rochester FC, it leaves a ton of unanswered questions for me as to what the heck really did happen to the season after such a promising start.
Yeah. Well, up next, just ahead of the fourth, was the reverse fixture against the St. Croix Legends. Even though St. Croix was 1-6-1 coming into this game, John, they always have talent and they always play City tight. Do you worry about a trap game here?
Always. It's the Oliver Derby. It's like they share the hive mind. So it's like which side of the hive mind is going to win today?
Yeah.
As far as going for the Crows, you had Sessler and net, Swallen, Strage, Heckenlabel, Shaw, Kirsch, Morgan Olson, Shea Bechtel, Highfield, Curtis Wagner, and Jared Heck. So really, I think that was an unchanged lineup from the Rochester game. On the bench, you had Roach, Anderson, Kipnusu, Asibi, Rule, Harris, Mena, Twill, Banks, and Selbo.
The first half, John, for me, as I was watching this on stream up north, felt slow. I don't know. Call it the heat, call it player fatigue, call it, the fact that call it that trap game, whatever. But I didn't feel like City could get anything going until like all of a sudden, bam, they did. But up until then,
Before I get into this one, I want to talk about the stream. So I was there live, took the family to really a beautiful area of Minnesota I've never been to, in the St. Croix area. They had 4 guys in a van, like working off a generator to do the broadcast. So hats off to Tyler and Drew, who do our broadcast, which is miles better in my opinion.
Just alone in front of the producer's computer.
Yeah. So hats off to you guys. We don't say that enough. Anyways, back onto the game. Yes, Nate. This one was a total Oliver brother chess match. That's why you probably felt that it was slow. But I thought it was super fun to watch live. There was actually probably about like 25, 30 citizens and fans that showed up, and definitely loud. At one point, one of the citizens, as Tyler Oliver's yelling at the fourth official, was like, "Why do you look so much like our coach?" And sent the whole stadium into laughter, which was pretty funny. But anyways, consistent balls over the top to Asher Azuzu were dangerous, and it was kind of what it looked like. The St. Croix plan was like, just don't mess about, just put a foot through it, let Azuzu run onto it.
Yep.
But it was City who I felt left a lot on the table. They kept giving the ball away in bad spots centrally, which is something that we haven't seen a lot of this season. Typically, the midfield of Shaw, Kirsch, and Swallen has been rock solid with keeping the ball. But it enter a corner kick in the 36th minute where big Jared Heck went unmarked in the 6-yard box and nodded home a real easy goal, followed by a somewhat muted crow dance celebration against his old team, which, for how big he is, was really funny to watch.
It was.
But at that point for me, Nate, the Crows could have been up 3 goals by the time they were finally on the board, and it felt less like a trap game going into the second half.
But, yeah, that was a nice one.
But it was more of the same, really, coming out of the half. Both teams seemed to play it safe. For City, it was bouts of possession without any substance, maybe a couple half chances. And for the Legends, it was long balls over the top, any chance they could get for Azuzu. Until the 52nd minute, Legends midfielder Matthias Guffroy, already on a yellow, committed a silly foul to stop a counterattack. And I think either he just didn't remember that he picked up a first half yellow card, but it totally could have been avoided. And for another game, City's up a man with the sights on 3 points. We've had a ton of red cards against us this year.
We have because it was 2 against Riverlight, 2 against Rochester, this one against St. Croix. That's 5 and
1 against
five
in the opener against Racine.
Yeah.
1 against Dutch Lions away.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't know what to say.
But again, John, maybe it's and you got to give that, give some credit to our players, because a lot of that is, body positioning. A lot of it is making sure you're selling the foul, that sort of thing, protecting the ball well, and just kind of forcing players into bad tackles or like tactical fouls that puts them in danger of a red, so that there's really not a lot of room for mistakes down the road. So, a lot of that has to do with how we're playing, but also frustration about how we're playing. So I don't know, John, again, maybe it's just my own internal narrative created from watching St. Croix pull off some victories over the last 3 years or so against us. But man, they scrap when they line up against us. And I thought they played better after going down 10 men. Like, compounding that was, I think, Minneapolis City not really playing with any urgency, not really playing with the idea in their minds that like this is a spot in the playoffs on the line here, right? They weren't really interested in defending a lead that could clinch them a playoff spot, and it cost them.
They absolutely got more dangerous off the build-up in the run of play after Croix was sent off, and it really put the Crows on their heels. But after about 25 attempts to find Asher Azuzu over the top on the day, one finally worked in the 10th minute after that, 10 minutes after that red card, when he found some space at the top of the box. He kind of flicked one on to a winger and then delayed his run to the top of the box, received a slotted ball back home. From the end line, City got caught sleeping, and he was unmarked, and he pounded it home past Sessler, who had a great game going, looking for another shutout. But at this point, Nate, I started to get that same feeling you had, and I was like, God damn it, like, these guys against us, like, what is it? And I hate to say that we needed to take a punch to get ruthless, but and kind of put the legends to bed when we were up a man, but we did. And after the game got level, City finally woke up, and for the last 20 minutes, just threw everything they could to get that game winner in the last 20. And that final goal came in the 77th minute from red hot striker Joe Highfield, who could not buy a bucket past Quinn Millard, who again was another goalkeeper standing on his head against us. Second time around for Millard against us. Outstanding day in between the sticks, but after some great individual play from Ian Shaw, who got past his man, he was able to find an unmarked Highfield, and he calmly passed it into the corner.
Sorry, I took a took a drink of water at like the wrong spot. Anyway, John, it's an absolute bummer to me that Highfield and Heckenlabel now had early recalls to college, but I think this game said so much about both of their development. We already talked a little bit about Heckenlabel. I'll get to him in a second, but Joe Highfield was really a top prospect last year. I remember starting this, he started the game against Bavarians on the road, and it was kind of shaky, right? He had a really rough half. He was trying to find his way at the center attacking mid position, and then throughout the season trying to figure out where he's most successful there or striker. But now he's really the rock that City has leaned on down this winning stretch to score some clutch goals, especially with Kipnusu out. And then Andrew started this season as a high energy player. You're right, not too sure what, how to contribute with City, but his energy was exciting. But he really did need to figure out what to do with the ball when he got into dangerous spots. He was, really good at bombing up and down the wings, taking that ball basically to the end line. And then it was like, what now, kid? And lately, what now, kid, has been score or put a dangerous ball in the box. He's assisting, he's scoring, he's impacting the score sheet as well as the flow of the game. I mean, it's too bad we've lost them to college already with 2 games left in the season, but I got to get your thoughts on these guys.
Well, I already touched on Andrew, so I don't really have much more to add there on him, but I think Joe had a fantastic summer with the Crows this year. I think the Oliver 3-5-2 really kind of speaks to him. He likes to drop back and receive the ball in pockets of space and either turn his man or get the midfield involved. And I think that having the 2 strikers instead of a lone striker in what we saw to kind of begin last season with Carl Craig's system of having 1 striker, it just didn't play well for him. And I think that this year it really took off. I think he elevated off of not only what we saw to end the summer last year, but what he did last fall in his first college season out in Portland. And I was super impressed how he was more assertive in the attack this season. He brought the danger to teams, where last year he was a bit more passive And then in true striker fashion, he found goals and assists in bunches and would feed one off of the next to be an extremely vital part of this 2025 team.
Yeah. So, John, that's 6 league wins in a row to clinch a playoff spot and put ourselves in the position to win the whole damn thing. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
What's left and how can we do it?
Well, we have to keep winning. What's that mean? Who has to step up? Basically, right now we go into a game this week, which we'll talk about in a second, down in Racine, Wisconsin. But as far as points go, no one can catch us from a playoff perspective, but we are able to hunt down Sueño. So we're both looking at 10 games played, 23 points, 2.3 points per game, an identical record of 7-1-2. They have one more goal for. We have 2 less goals against. So we really have to score. Well, we'll talk about it, but we just got to hunt down Sueño, man. And we got to take care of business in Rochester, in Racine.
Yeah. And so now the optimal situation, of course, when you speak about the game against Racine, would of course be that having been eliminated from the playoffs and with really nothing to play for, they've got a record of 4 wins, 2 losses, and 4 draws, 16 points on the season. Very much out of playoff contention. Maybe RKC trots out some bench players that need some minutes at the end of the summer. But, I know that's wishful thinking on my part. RKC is an absolute quality team that maybe, save for one mistake that cost them a forfeit, would still be playing for the postseason now. They would be on 19 points. And with 2 games to go, one of them against us, they would have the potential to catch us. So they would still be playing for something if they didn't forget to bring a trainer to one of their games.
Talk about a shitty way to go out.
I know.
It'll be an interesting one to see what Wednesday brings, Nate. On one hand, as you noted, it could be a chance to save some face, or get some players, or they could save some face, put a stronger lineup out there. We know they have it, but with the players seeing that there's no playoff soccer this year for a team we felt could be a title contender, maybe they have some early recalls that have started for them as well. Maybe not. But I would expect either way for this one to be a really good back and forth game. But make no mistake, the Crows are coming in hungry to catch Sueño and make the match on July 12th to end the season an exciting one that could potentially be for a trophy.
Yeah. So the game against RKC will be streaming Wednesday night. That game's at 7 p.m. Probably on Sports Engine Play, but you never know. I think RKC is pretty good at using Sports Engine Play. I'll be tuning in from the Northwoods, and I hope that you all will too. Yeah, I'll tell you about it later. I gotta go back up. I got some deliveries to accept. Game day updates will come through City's Twitter account, of course, so make sure your notifications are on.
So, Sueño, let's talk about this one. So, as we mentioned, it'll be the season ender for the Crows at home on July 12th, so this Saturday. And as I mentioned, it'll be against the one that got away from us. And hopefully we can realign the conference, Nate, and never have to go back to that part of Illinois ever again, please. But Sueño enters the Orr Nelson Field slightly ahead of the Crows after their 3-2 win earlier in the season, which I was there. I thought we got undone on that one, wrongly undone on that one, but the games happen for a reason. This team, Nate, is littered with talent. But if you look at the box scores, they're a team that outside of lopsided wins against the Dutch Lions and Riverlight 6-1 and 4-1, all of their games were decided by 2 goals or less. They have been come from behind kids all summer, and that does speak to their quality they have on their roster, but they never give up. So for the Crows, they have got to take it to this team and not give them a fighter's chance in this match, because every single game they've been in, including a few games where they were also down men that I watched, and they just figure out a way. So it's for all the marbles. And how sweet, Nate, would it be to hoist a conference crown at home again?
Yeah, I watched the RKC Sueño game a couple weeks ago or last week, and Sueño down to 10 men, still able to pull off the victory.
The ball, attacking in numbers, even though they were down a guy. It was impressive to watch.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. And this is, I think, the benefit that we'll have in this game is our home field advantage, because John, you noted when you went out to that game, that Sueño game at the beginning of the summer, it's just dead, man. Like there's just nobody there.
They had 8 fans.
Yeah.
And we brought 12.
So, I mean, it's going to be a very different story for them, as they're at probably the best home field experience in the Heartland division. And the game is Saturday night, John, 6 p.m., my birthday, Edor Nelson Field. Tickets are available at mplscitysc.com. This is probably the biggest game the Crows have played in 4 years, maybe 4 plus. So we have to pack the stands to show Sueño what is up.
Yeah, text your friends. I've already been texting some former players, getting everybody out there. And now that I know that it's going to be your birthday as well, like we'll just, maybe we'll sing happy birthday to you at halftime. Maybe there'll be a cake. I don't know, but I think a trophy, Nate, would probably be a good birthday present.
I would love a trophy for my birthday.
You mean you'd love the idea of a trophy because you're not getting it?
Right.
Well, that'll do it for this week's show, folks. Big thanks, as always, to our longtime sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. Hit up the site for awesome prints and gear, and don't forget to use the code CROWS10. That's CROWS10 for 10% off everything you purchase. As a reminder, Minneapolis City is a 501c3, so your tickets and membership isn't just supporting soccer, it's helping a community-focused club that does things the right way. If you want to reach out to us, find us on Twitter X at The People's Pitch, on Instagram, People's Pitch Podcast, or email us, mcscpodcast@gmail.com, and follow the club everywhere at MPLS City SC. Next week, we'll have a recap of the rest of the USL2 regular season action, maybe look at some playoff scenarios, maybe talk a little Minnesota Super Cup. But until then, text your friends, hide your kids, hide your wife, Sueño, because you got